Hello, everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whisky. I'm joined today, and as always, by my co-founder, my partner in crime, Mr. Jason Neil Patrick Harris Johnston Yellen. Jason JY.
Hello.
Hello, hello. And of course, we've got the wonderful, the magnificent Jessica Rabbit Guillermo Lomas in her new house.
Sure. Hi. Don't mind me, viewers of the podcast. I am sat directly on the table, which is weird, but hey, it's a Monday here in Glasgow. We do those things. And to anybody listening, that will make no sense. So you'll just have to go to YouTube and look.
Ollie Chilton loves these videos that we do. He loves watching them. He loves it when we call out, the things that you can only view. Loves it. Yeah, this is his favorite.
He loves
like
it
you
as much
discussing
as us.
Colours while I'm driving the car.
100%.
Sure.
100%. He loves it.
I'm so glad Ollie and I are on the right
Jess.
side of this debate.
Yep. The Yorkshire folk are ganging up against us.
Naturally.
So listen, we have a lot to get through today. This is the end of the 9th season. 9.
There you
right?
go. In the bag.
Oh my gosh, 9. Germans out there keep on thinking we're saying no, but we're saying yes to the end of season 9. Season 9. Anyway, it is our mailbag episode, and we were inundated with emails, with questions, and we've handcrafted today's episode. And
wouldn't it be hand curated rather than handcrafted?
Well, I tried to make it sound whiskey, right? I mean, isn't whiskey handcrafted?
Doesn't Single Cask Nation curate single cask selections for the nation?
Oh my god, stop it, you two already. Joshua's already forgotten that we very much upset our German listening audience by doing the introduction for our last main episode in German. Here we are upsetting them with the last of series 9.
Did you catch shit? Because we did that right before, like you were on your way to Germany, and did they yell at you?
I just pretended it was someone else. I didn't have all knowledge. It's fine.
You could just blame the American. It works. It works. I'll take the
That must
fall.
be someone else with my name talking on a podcast. I don't know what you're talking about. Podcasts? What's that? I only work on podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast. That's it. Yep. I don't do a
World's
podcast.
number one podcast.
Mm-hmm.
One of one.
Speaking of letters and speaking about the mailbag, Joshua, do you want an opportunity to respond to some of the correspondence that came in around your American claim that no independent bottler had bottled Glendronach since 2010? Do you want a moment? Do you want the floor? Because you really did set the inbox alight.
Jason's coming in hot.
Also, when you mentioned Ollie Chilton, Ollie came in hot on the claim that was being made. So
Yeah. Can
any
I?
desire?
Let's just say the whiskey geek world came in hot.
Fact checkers united. Yeah.
So, listen, I make declarative statements. I understand this. I do it in the moment. I don't necessarily do research when I'm meant to do the research. And I should have checked Whiskey Base. And I should have known that, of course, Cadenheads is going to bottle Glendronach. And, of course, Single Malts of Scotland had bottled some. And, listen.
I hadn't considered
when
you had made this statement that not only would the fact checkers come in, it didn't occur to my little brain for 1 minute that other producers would write in with hey.
Other producers are not going to be happy about this claim.
Imagine cancelling Single Malts of Scotland.
Berry Brothers and Rudd.
No one's heard of Cadenheads. Those are the old guys.
Listen, only one producer came in at me, and that was our dear friend Ollie Chilton, and it was
all the
while
other
we were
letters are in
drinking
the post.
together.
They're in the post making their way to you.
They're being sent by
USPS.
lawyers.
Yeah.
See, there's his declarative sentence again. I've only heard from one producer.
Well, that's true so far.
The producer's
So
warming up.
let it be known that other bottlers have bottled Glendronach since 2000, since whatever it said in Whiskey Fun. And I should have done some other digging, but I just done the digging on the spot during the episode. Other people are right. I am wrong.
Man.
Are you happy, Jason?
Whiskey fans came up to Joshua, tears in their eyes, and they said, Sir, I can't believe nobody's done this since 2010. Tears. Grown men, strong men, with tears in their
Always
eyes said, Sir, I can't believe this. Oh my gosh, only Joshua has that testicular fortitude to make those types of claims. So, power to you. Power to you.
Testicular fortitude.
Can we have that as stickers, please? I would like that.
Yeah.
Picture Josh's face and then testicular fortitude.
Yeah, it'll go on the back of my Ford F-250 with the balls hanging off the end of them.
No notes. No notes.
Somehow you've turned testicular fortitude into your license plate using only 6 letters. People look at it like, what does that say?
Why is there a 7 in there? I don't get it.
All right. Anyway, on to this.
Which is why it doesn't make sense. There's a 7 in there. If fortitude, there should be a 4 and a 2, which equals 6. But there's a 7 in there. It doesn't make sense. Anyway,
6, 7.
6, 7.
Help. Send help.
Another thing
Quick,
you're
this
not allowed to
mailbag.
say
Let's talk about a mailbag.
Okay. All right. So we got a number of emails that have come in, but we've selected from those number of emails, and we're actually going to start with one that came in. It was the last one that came in, but I selected it just because this person is a dear friend of yours, and he drinks with you.
Under duress. When
Under
forced
duress.
to. Not out of choice. He is one of the many upset Germans
Yeah.
from our former correspondence.
Yeah. Oh, so do I read it, or do I read
No.
it because he's an upset German, or do you read it because he's your friend that you drink with?
I'll read it, but I'm not doing an accent.
Don't do that.
I'd be very sad. I really don't want him to hate me fully. I can live with, minor
Not
German
fully.
levels of disappointment. That's okay.
Let's also set the record straight. Florey's a great friend of Single Cast Nation. I give him hugs when I'm in Glasgow and see him
Of
at
course.
various
Oh,
festivals.
of course. Yeah.
Long time.
Jason's
supporter.
given a total spoiler as to who it is. Okay, would you like me
Deanston
to read it?
fan, I think gives away a spoiler as well.
Bless his soul. Well, there's only one of 2, so... And we've said German, not American, so... Okay, would you like me to read it aloud in my best reading aloud voice?
Your very best reading aloud voice.
Okay. Dear... Oh, no, it doesn't even say dear. God's sake, I've already messed this up. Hi, J, and J. Sliding in my question just before the looming deadline. With all the news about struggling distilleries and whiskey companies more broadly, what is your silver lining and what has you excited for the new season, aka 2026? And as a bonus question, because Flo likes to just really ramp up your thinking process here.
Yeah.
Bonus question, assuming, and I like this question, assuming all distilleries, all of them, are up for sale and you win, say, 50 million smackaroonies. For those of you who don't know, that's our new post-Brexit currency.
Smackaroonies, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which distillery would you want to acquire and why? Cheers from the sunny south side of Glasgow, Flo. Notice how we got south side in there, Jason. South side.
Is he Strathbungo is the question. Is he a
I'd say
pedestrian
Flo's
Cross Hill?
Fully committed Shawlands resident.
Shawlands.
That's what I would say.
I was more thrown by the sunny in combination with Southside.
He maintains it's always sunny down there, and I just don't believe him.
Good on him. Good on you, Flo. Good on you,
I thought
man.
that was Philadelphia, but here we are.
The
All
cheese.
right. All right. What is the silver lining? We covered a bit of this in our year-end preview with Susanna Skyver Barton. And so I'm going to reiterate what I had over there, which is I think it's a great time to be a consumer. I think it's a great time to be a whiskey fan, a whiskey geek, like all of us and like our listeners, the majority of our listeners maybe, a number of our listeners maybe. And I think there's two aspects to this, and I didn't actually mention one of these in the recording with Susanna, and then another one has happened since the recording with Susanna. So number one I was going to bring up at the time was we finally have a Macallan 12 cask strength. And I feel like whiskey geeks, amongst all the changes, all the moves that Edrington has put in place with Macallan, I felt like whiskey geeks weren't really included, weren't really involved. And when I see a 12, so an age statement, and I see cask strength, I think that's speaking to people like us. And so I really like that development. I've been threatening to taste it for months and months and months, and I still haven't. But it will happen at some point. And then the other one that just broke is RØDE. RØDE have finally announced the 10-year-old cask strength.
Yep.
And I feel like that's something we've definitely been crying out for 2 decades.
Yep.
And
Since Renaissance.
Right. And so that's happening as well. And so I think for Flo with a silver lining, I think that's the tide turning. Obviously, producers are sitting on casks now. They have more casks to play with. They have more casks to listen to the geeks and the demands of the geeks and the nerds, the uber enthusiasts. And so I think that's exciting. I think that's really exciting. And I remain a consumer. I remain somebody who completely blew through his January budget to the point of really having to stop buying in February because I really overspent in January. But like all good things, I'll be back buying in March. I just have to keep the credit card bills away from Tamara for another 2 weeks. So
She doesn't watch this, right? Or listen to this?
we're safe. We're safe.
Okay.
We're safe. So
You know,
there you
just
go.
get
So
the
that's my
delivery straight
silver
to
lining.
get your delivery straight to your office. She'll never even see them. Just, straight in the office under the old desk.
So I have to lament in this moment that my UPS driver of 6, this was his joke, not mine. He's been our UPS driver for 6 or 7 years. And he has been moved to a new route. And so the one person who would have brought the box to the office in the back garden has moved on to a new route. So I am very sad in losing Michael, who treated us incredibly well. So yeah, so they have to come in the front door, Jess, so we have to be careful.
Oh. Well, I tried to help you, Jason,
Thank you.
and apparently that's not enough.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, you
I
too.
think well, I was going to say, it's interesting that your silver lining is more booze in our booze. How did we not get into this with Susanna? I like the idea of your highlight or your silver lining for 2026 is that whiskey is getting stronger. Hashtag drink responsibly.
I think it's some key corners.
Okay. Do you have one, Joshua? Because I don't have one immediately to mind.
Yeah, it's similar to Jason. I like the more booze in our booze thing, but also, and again, this goes back to the conversation with Susanna. Actually, this goes back to before our conversation with Susanna and piggybacks onto an article she wrote when Glenmorangie switched their 10-year-old original to a 12-year-old original. I think we're going to see more age-stated products. And I think we're going to see higher age-stated products. I think we're going to see some prices come down that might be a bit more attainable to people. I think because there is a bit less demand, we might see more older stock going into these age statements. And to some people, older whiskey tastes a bit better, and therefore better whiskey, I'm putting quotes around that word better for people who are listening, might bring new consumers in. Consumers who hadn't been in the tent before, and I like that prospect. I like the idea of bringing age statements back because we'd gotten away from it over these past years, getting more into non-age statements. And for people who are getting into the geek side of things, non-age stated whiskeys, that's perfectly fine.
Exactly.
But if you're not a geek, you want that age statement. You need that. That's sort of a seal of approval. And so I think we want to get back to age statements to just sort of open the door a little bit for people who just aren't as into it or as educated about whiskey. They really want that, like little 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old, and so on.
Can I have age statements as half a point? Because I think I like the idea of age statements, but maybe not quite the way that you're going with them. That I like age statements because for me, for the distilleries who choose to use them, they are sort of an age. Age is sort of a progress report, right? So this year, although we're not going to see the liquid of it, in theory, this year we could have a 21-year-old Kilchoman, and that's very exciting to me.
Crazy, yeah.
Because it's mad, because I only think of them as putting out like 6-year-old liquid. So whilst Kilchoman are not looking to put a 21-year-old out, there could be a little, I'm really like, this is a little note to Anthony, fingers crossed, is like a little Kilchoman preview in this year's Fesh tasting. But to me, that the fact that these distilleries can put age statements, whether or not they choose to, is really exciting. These distilleries in my head are still little baby distilleries. So like Glasgow have a 10-year-old, which is surprising to me because I remember helping Glasgow ship their, very first release when it was kind of 3-4. So the fact that this now, and they are bottling a 10-year-old, is crazy to me. So I see it really as like a check-in with how much closer to the grave I am getting as these distilleries get older.
Jesus.
I'm not asking them to necessarily, and obviously people like, Locklee's another example. They've just got to their 7-year-old. They're not looking to put age statements out regularly, but when they do, it's an exciting little frisson for me as a whiskey enthusiast that I get to see like, oh look, they've got a 7-year-old. That's crazy. I remember it being a 3-year-old. That kind of, it's a progression mark. I'm not asking distilleries maybe quite as far as you are, Joshua, to put age statements on everything, but I think. Because I think we have done a lot of work as an industry in telling stories that are not just attached to a number. I do see the benefit in it. But I think, especially for the younger distilleries, they have the flexibility to tell different stories. So maybe that's my
Agreed.
half a nod to age statement, showing that distilleries are making it through the struggles of being a young distillery, releasing that early liquid, getting to a stage where they can put out significant ages on their product. Aaron are doing a ballot this week for their 30-year-old whiskey, so that's kind of crazy to me. So
always a wild,
Wow.
yeah. Every time Aaron has another decade onto their birthday celebration, it's that your use of closer to the grave is hilarious.
I was having a morbid Monday. That's clearly wrong. How about part of Flo's bonus question, assuming that we've got 50 million smackaroonies? And that the distillery is available for that price, of course.
I know, that gets us a corner. That might get us an empty forecourt of a distillery. Is that 50 million?
Yeah.
Is this just us giving the opportunity to purchase our favourites? Is that what we're putting stocks in here?
I think that's what it is. Like,
Okay. Are we ready to hear what Joshua Hatton's number one 50 million smackaroni distillery is?
I mean,
this week
just
it is. Drum roll.
Ardnamurkin softball. Who's next?
Right.
Jess, you go.
Should we check in with Connell, see if he would accept 50 million smackaroonies? Or Alex. Might not even be Connell's. Connell might have to be referring you to Alex.
Let's go Glenn Farclas, 50 million pounds. I own this now.
Maybe I need to pick like a really teeny tiny distillery so my 50 million smackaroonies go further. Although you out of me in a meeting recently and reminded me that I am the Glenfiddich person, so maybe if I could have that for 50 million smackaroonies, I could invest that wisely into making everybody else understand my minor obsession with a distillery.
There you go.
Yeah. I was thinking Highland Park. Just the thought of owning Highland Park and what you could do with that, and just kind of what direction would you want to take that in? I think there's something interesting there. So Again,
like it. Maybe
you're never getting Highland Park for £50 million.
No.
Maybe
no.
you and I went commercial there, and Joshua went pure passion. Was like, this seems like a reasonable offer. I'm sure Alex will be very happy. And you and I we will turn these great institutions around and show everyone else. I hope that pleases Flo. I will be taking follow-up questions, no doubt, and arguing about the relative merits of every distillery in a top trumps whiskey game that I enjoy playing in a pub. So, listeners, you should write in and tell me, what would you spend your 50 million Brexit smackaroonies on? Tell me I mean, we've obviously only thought about Scotland, but maybe you've got a real burning passion for a distillery in the Netherlands. What would you be buying? What's your burning passion for a distillery in Goa or Taiwan or insert other whiskey producing place here? Myanmar. Oh, Kentucky.
Myanmar.
Yeah, there's lots of choice there.
So there you go. Okay. So next up, we've got we have our annual tome. It is basically the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, which is known as the Torah, from Dr. Matt Bishop. He's printed it out. He's laminated it. It's come in triplicates, which we all must sign.
Of course.
And I like that.
Yeah, right. There's a white, pink, and green copy. And did you want to read this, Jason, or shall I read this one?
I would love to read this. I like getting into the character of Dr. Matt Bishop, and I was going to say, before we got out of Flo, hopefully we'll get to see him in Glasgow in the month of March when the 3 of us are together in Scotlandia, and Dr. Matt Bishop. I think we may very well see him again at the Independent Spirits Festival in
be great.
Leith. So here we go, giving Dr. Matt Bishop his. Oh my gosh, he opens so beautifully. Dear Jubilant Jays, we have never had that salutation.
That's my favourite one we've ever had.
Yeah, it's great.
T-shirt worthy.
Has it really been another whole year since the last mailbag episode? Well, if Susanna Double Barrel Name has proclaimed her current thoughts on the podcast, then definitely another 12 months have slipped past. And what a year it has been for news around the world. War, famine, pestilence and death. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse joined this year by the 5th horseman, tariffs. All these troubles can occupy one's mind, and so joyful distractions become welcome friends. Whiskey, the nation, the podcast, the friends and the community provide comfort and warmth and good feelings. This feels like a Burns poem, the way this is written.
Right.
For me, this year has been about gatherings, about sharing stories and experiences with whiskey at the centre. Not about bottle chasing, inaugural bottle FOMO, fear of missing out, queuing outside shops, or collecting limited editions for no reason. Like Jason's Wilderness Weeks, or Jess's Swedish coffee shop cakes, or Joshua's live music. We all need a reset to remind us who we are and to remember what is really important to us. I hope all 3 of us feel very seen in that paragraph.
Really do.
Like that.
Ridiculously seen.
That is wonderful. Really wonderful. Dr. Matt Bishop. I hope he treats his patients with such reverence. He goes on, as a consumer, I'm so grateful for the considerable range of wonderful whiskey available. I've realised that I should just be thankful for what I have and not pressure producers for more and more at a time when profits are reducing because costs are rising. Independent bottlers, here comes our name check, like Single Cask Nation and all the others that will be on show at the Leith Festival in March, continually remind us of the incredible whiskey that has already been produced and is just waiting to be bottled. Thank you for the amazing bottles that you 3 have offered the nation this year. Very welcome. He knows that a compliment goes a long way with us. So if there's one way to be guaranteed a spot in the mailbag, it's to have a compliment in your email. So, to finish my 2026 mailbag letter, I'll pose a simple question. When each of you have had a long, difficult day chasing squirrels or laminating spreadsheets and just want to relax with a dram that isn't going to challenge you in any way, this is about to be damning with faint praise. but we'll take you to a comfortable, happy place. Which dram would it be? He gives his own answer. For me right now, it would be your Ben Nevis 12-year-old in the new charred oak hogshead. Ben Nevis always provides the flavours and the complete drinking experience I need to chill and feel good about things. A chicken soup for the soul. And that prescription comes from a doctor. Thank you once again for a fantastic year and wish you continued success in the year ahead, Dr. Matt. And I just want to say, I hope everybody listening to this podcast finds somebody in their life who loves them as much as Dr. Matt Bishop loves Single Cask Nation and the three of us. We are incredibly fortunate to have the good doctor in the nation. So I wish him a full year of good health until he's able to send in his 2027 mailbag letter.
Epic saga.
So with all of that said, Jess, who is known for all the humble brags to end.
Humble brags.
All the humble brags. What is your, preferred easy drinking 1960s Bowmore that helps you transition into your evening?
Oh, you mean you don't all have your own House Macallan 1949? That's so sad, so sad. Well, so last night, the other resident of my lovely Oprah Winfrey house that you're all admiring, and I sat down to have a little sweepstake through a bunch of samples that we've had lying around the place, just cluttering up the old house. I had to keep them under the grand piano behind me. It was getting really awkward. And so it was funny because it's stuff that we've had or pulled back from distilleries, or one of us has been driving and that kind of stuff. And I will make zero apologies for this. Halfway through, I was like, this is too many different things. I'm just going to have one whiskey to calm the fuck down whilst we're drinking things that have got half a label on them. Things that we sort of were like, I think we picked that up in Campbelltown. Did that come from Speyside? Who gave us this? And we did have some very nice things. But I had a really big dram of the old watch post, and I tell you.
Hey!
I could have that
yes!
for breakfast.
Pegged it. Boom.
And you two will have to bring me a bottle each in your suitcases, because it's disappearing far too quickly in this house.
Oh, right.
But if I have to pick something a little bit closer to home... what else do we have in my... I don't know why I'm looking over my shoulder, like as if they're all still sat on the table. Had a very nice...
Because you're sitting on the table.
Yeah, well, I know. What a mistake to make.
A mistake to make. This is your that's your
It's an Italian
Guillermo
house.
accent.
Yeah.
The sad news is that's actually her German accent.
What a mistake to make.
That's why I refused to speak German the whole time I was in Germany.
For
Well, part of the reason that I'm a terrible bragger is I don't often have a sit down and drink a dram. I'm an absolute magpie with no attention span. Part of the attraction of this job is the never-ending selection of things that pass by my eyes and lips to drink. So it's not very often that I will sit down like the good doctor and just unwind with a dram. I'm much more likely to be found in the pub with a pint, which is partly why my house is so full of whiskey. But I think I probably would stick with something a bit kind of juicy. But honestly, it's probably more likely to be a Kilchoman that's come out of the cupboard that I love. I've said it before, we did a tasting at the very start of lockdown when everybody was a bit sad and miserable, and I well blew our budget for what we should do, but I was locked in the house. It was my birthday. I thought this was going to be a temporary measure. And at the end, we just threw in a little bonus. Kilchoman had just released that year's version of Sanig, and we're like, well, we'll just fling that. It was a 50 quid bottle. Let's just fling that in. What's the worst that's going to happen? The worst did happen, and it gazumped the tasting, and all the well thought out, very expensive single casks that I had put in this tasting were absolutely blown away by a 50 quid core range Kilchoman. So if I have to pick something closer to home, it's probably going to be the old Kickerman. It's very unbeatable for me. So see, no bragging, no 1960s whiskies this time. I save that for the end of the year.
I did feel a little bit like, did we pick this up in Campbelltown? Did we pick this up in Speyside? Who can remember? that got a little close.
Sometimes we don't remember because I've either been driving and therefore have tuned all that out, or it's been a very nice time in Campbelltown and the memories are troublingly slow to come back to the front of my mind.
Hashtag, please drink the whole region responsibly.
Absolutely.
Joshua.
Oh, I love that that Dr. Matt had mentioned the chasing of squirrels, because this morning, my ritual of waking up is to do Wordle and then check my Facebook memories. And the first thing that popped up in my Facebook memories is a video of a squirrel that had gotten into our fireplace. And we had to figure out how to get this stupid ass squirrel out of the fireplace and out our front door. So we created this barricade of boxes and blankets, and Haida's holding up a blanket, and Delma's over here, and it worked. And we gave that little squirrel a path out our door, so it was like perfect timing for this email. Anyway, the squirrels are no longer the pain in the asses that they have been. Thank God.
Is that because the end of that memory is you as a family successfully came together to overcome this dire situation for a squirrel because all of your cats were sat outside the front door, and that was the end of the squirrel?
We had to lock our cats up in the room because they would have only made matters worse.
So I was thinking they were going to do the final hurrah at the front door.
No, this ended with 3 cheers for Dad. The old hip hip hooray, hip hip, and then it was for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a come on, join in, guys. For he's a jolly good fellow. No, okay. Well,
yeah. I mean, you say at the end of that, you were leading those cheers, weren't you?
Yeah, basically.
And you told your family, nobody has done this for me since 2010.
No one has done this for me. Period.
The good thing is, though, we've got loads of evidence of loads of people actually doing it for him all the time.
Local people.
So,
anyway, the whiskey. The whiskey that I would choose. So this is a good one. The whiskey that I would choose as my comfort one, and this is a slight humble brag, sort of, would be any 46% signatory bottling of Imperial.
Okay.
They're all solid.
Okay.
And here in the US, you could have picked them up for $60, 60, depending on, the year that they were out. And I just started buying single cask after single cask. So they were cheap enough because no one cared at all. And so I've got a bunch of them, and they're just consistently good. Each cask is as good as the next. And just the other day, Haida's been so good about joining me on whiskeys and wanting to try this one and that one. And the other day I said, what kind of whiskey do you want to try? And she gave some flavors out there, and I knew she didn't want to try those flavors. So I threw in a wild card. I know my wife.
He is a man.
My long-suffering
Jess,
wife, who I'm finally convincing to drink whiskey, told me specifically what she wanted. It's okay, listeners, it's not what she wanted. I gave her something else.
So I gave her 2 options within that category, and then I gave her a wild card that was Imperial. And she nosed and tasted the first one. First one was a 10-year-old Tamdhu, 43%. The other one was a rye whiskey. She wanted like baking spices and kind of, within that category, right? And then I gave her an Imperial. And she said, I like the wild card. And so we're drinking that of the night. And then I look over at her and I see her finishing her glass. She goes like this, and she looks at her glass, goes. She makes this face for our listener. She was like, "Wow, yeah, satisfaction." Like, "Wow, that was good."
A look
My
she's never
wife,
made
this
in
is-
front of
yeah.
Joshua before.
You motherfucker. All right.
And then they all applauded and sang for "He's a Jolly Good
He's a
Fellow."
jolly good fellow.
And the stewards led them out of the room. What a lovely bit of Hatton family
back to the
scenery we got there.
best.
Flawless.
Jason?
Oh my gosh, I that was a good answer. I love the fact that all of us, from a very simple question, have really gone with a multifaceted answer, and I will follow suit. So, number one, when he says when you've had a long, difficult day, and so I have a little policy that if I've had a long, difficult day, I do not drink at the end of it. I purposely avoid the booze connection on
fair.
difficult days. So that has served me well. I will say, on a good day, in a transition, like Jess, I don't immediately reach for the whiskey. It's the Fino. It's a Tradition Fino that I love. And pulling a glass of that, clean, crisp, bright, fresh, fruity. Pouring that, drinking that while making dinner, like that's the transition in my day. That feels fantastical. I would then say of a day, of a seat in a chair. This is where you all know my answer, which is the Glasgow blend. Glasgow blend is the healthy pour, 43%, non-chill filtered, little bit of Lafroig in the blend, little bit of Cameron Bridge in the blend, just non-age statement and proud of it. Just cracking, just a lovely one to sit.
Yep.
But, and this is the final part of my answer. When Dr. Matt brings up chicken soup for the soul, the whiskey that is the hug, and I have to give Single Cask Nation and Binny's some props here. The Brett Pontoni Single Cask Nation selection of 30-year-old Glenmurray
It's so
in
good.
all 30 years in Virgin Oak is exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. And that is a hug of the highest order. And I said this the other week in a Drammer's tasting when Michael Nolan showed that he was through his first bottle of it. I had Michael Nolan buy 2 bottles of that for me. So, yes, I'm giving props to Binny's, to Brett, to Single Cask Nation. I spent my own money on those 2 bottles.
I did the same.
And phenomenal, just phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that for me lines up with the chicken soup for the soul element of Dr. Matt's question. So there you go, a 4-part answer to a deceptively simple question.
I love it. I love it.
Do you know what I love hearing is things that there's like a 30-year-old Glenmurray sneaking its way into America, and I'm like literally, compared to you two, next door to the warehouse, and yet I've not seen a snip of a sample bottle sneaking past my windows. What a dreadful situation. How do I allow this to happen?
Yeah,
I have to
there's
start hanging around in warehouses more often. Virgin Oak for
100%.
30 years gives me the fear on paper. I have no doubt that if it made it through the selection
Right.
process, especially if
Agreed.
Brett has picked it for Binny's, knowing what a precise palate and what he wants, knowing that he has very specific things he's looking for. If it's crept its way onto a Binny's shelf, it's absolutely ticked 100 boxes. But on paper, 30 years in Virgin Oak sounds insane.
Yep.
It ties the room together. It's the dude's rug. It is just
Lands.
all the things.
It absolutely lands. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
That's cool. I'll bring you 100 mils when I see you, Jess.
Thanks.
Hey.
You went in the right direction. Well done. Well
I got
done.
your back.
I'll arrange some sort of vegan non-seasonal mince pie to be exchanged for that.
Wash
We're
down
gonna
with
have
a
to find
diluting
you.
juice.
Yes. I will swap you 100 mils of 30-year-old Glenmurray for a 2-litre bottle of Robinson's fruit squash. That seems like a great exchange. Sold.
So, All right, Joshua.
All right.
I think
so,
you get our first American email.
Yeah, first American email. So seeing as it's from an American, I'll
There we go.
if you don't mind, as an American, I will read this one.
Go for it.
So this is from Nation member, longtime listener, Tom Jodelka, a.k.a. Tom Namerkin,
Indeed.
proper name. And he says, "Hello, SCN crew. I hope this finds you all well. I hope you don't mind, but I have 2 potential questions for the upcoming mailbag episode, much like the 3 or 4 honorable mentions that make their way onto your top whiskeys of the year. I, too, am breaking the rules.
Yep.
However, the questions are related, so I hope you will allow it." And, we're, of course, right?
Can I interrupt here? I love how much our listeners fully understand our inability to commit to one point. I love this. He's not writing into chide us for, an end of year where none of us commit to one thing. He's like, hey, I see you. I'm going to write in and do the same thing to you. You make us go through as listeners.
Yeah.
So instead of my one question, this guy could have written as many questions as he liked, but I like that he's identified himself as having like not a 1, but there's a kind of 2, but they are related. Don't get mad with me, which is definitely how I preface all of my refusals to give you my top whiskey of the year.
Well, in a sense, we are like parents. And so children just do what their parents do, right? We're setting an example for our children.
I learned from watching you, Dad.
So I learned it from watching you. Oh, this is so good. This is your brain on drugs. Okay, so anyway, question number 1. What whiskey from your personal collection would you offer to someone who has never had whiskey before and is looking to get into the category? Could you kindly explain why you would choose this particular dram? Oof, what a wonderful nod to The Simpsons. And he continues, number 2, what whiskey from your personal collection would you offer to someone, perhaps a fellow Nation member, who has seen and tried it all in an attempt to offer a new perspective or provide them with something they have most likely not tried? And could you explain this choice as well? So I guess it was more like 4 questions, technically. But much like when you were enjoying drams with friends, is anyone really counting? As always, thank you for indulging me. I will see you in the funny pages. Cheers, Tom Namerkin Jodelka. That's like seashells by the seashore. Tom Namerkin Jodelka. All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go. Do you wanna kick this off, Jess?
Oh, well, I guess if we go back to the first of the 4, questions, what whiskey from my personal collection would I offer to someone who's never had a whiskey before and is looking to get into the category? I guess that depends a little bit on the person that I'm offering it to. Is this person a willing victim who wants to get into whiskey and therefore is in that mindset? Am I trying to force my mother into finally accepting whiskey as fun and delicious? Is it maybe somebody who has, spoiler alert, she only likes extremely old, expensive whiskies. I don't know where I get it from. Or am I looking to explain whiskey to somebody who maybe has a bit of the old transferable skills? So if it's somebody who maybe has a background and is interested in food or other drinks categories, or is a bit of a coffee nerd, like somebody who's used to thinking thoughts about flavor, as opposed to somebody who's like, what's this? Is it nice? I feel like those are 2, that's a spectrum of people in the middle.
That's a good point.
I took my brother years ago to a whiskey bar that I'll not name, but if you pay me, I'll tell you about it. A whiskey bar in London years ago. And I tried very hard to get him into whiskey of a variety of ABVs, but especially cask strengths, because I was like, you're a grown-up now, you should like grown-up drinks. And he nearly spat them in my face. So he was semi-willing, but I'd say my brother's not a foodie, so I guess he doesn't think a lot about flavour in the way that I think about flavour. So when being assaulted by a cask strength whiskey was overloaded and despised it.
Sure.
And I have yet to try to make him drink whiskey again all these years later. So if we had, say, an ideal person who likes things that have flavour and understand process, like if you're a bit of a cheese nerd and you understand the process that goes into producing a thing that's not just a bottle of Coke you grabbed off the shelf to drink, then I suppose that would temper. I suppose I would probably not want to frighten anybody. I would probably reach for a good old Arran 10 or the Sauternes cask if I've got it in the house. Is a solid place I like to start people. I'm trying really hard these days, despite what I said 10 minutes ago about Campbelltown, to not be a Springbank fanboy, because I think Kilkerran should be what we're all drinking. So maybe something like that.
Interesting.
That's got tons of flavour, but not necessarily aggressively cask strength, because I think that can be intimidating. I am not afraid of giving people very early on in their whiskey journey peat, though. Cool. I had Talisker and Lagavulin really early on when I was purposefully drinking whiskey and absolutely adored it. I think people saying, no, this is too strong for you, is a fallacy. It's not really, it's not true. It's just because it's unlikely that growing up where I did, you'd had lots of very smoky, heavy stuff. But when we think about international, especially, like the Nordics, then they have a lot more of this kind of smoky, salty stuff. So it's not necessarily, I guess, as offensive, maybe as an opening play of whiskey. So that's my part one to the question one, which is I would probably either start with like an Arran, maybe even an Ardnamurchan, actually. I've only got to the letter A of whiskies, and then we'll stop there. That's all you're getting out of me. But I think something that has, it's important to me that if I'm introducing something that I love very dearly to people, that I'm introducing you with what I hope is the best example I can do that. So I'm also looking for companies that are things that I identify with. I massively identify with what Arran distillers do. I really love what the Ardnamurchan guys do. So I would look for that whiskey, not just to be delicious and full of flavour, but also something that I champion the cause of.
Yeah.
Is that
good.
squirrely enough?
Yeah. I like that. All right. Okay. And question number 2, someone who has, quote unquote, tried it all, but maybe they haven't tried this. What is that? What is that odd thing you want to give someone a new perspective on?
Well, here's the opportunity for me to be, like a terrible prankster and bring something that's a bit weird and out there and a bit conceptual and a bit, what is this that you've put in my glass? One of the drams we were tidying up last night, I brought back from the World Whiskey Awards, which was recommended to me by good friend Billy Abbott. And it was a Chinese whiskey that had been in a tequila cask, which had lots of flavours that are nothing I would expect it. It was fun, and I did that to Chris. I was like, you need to try this. I'm not telling you what it is. Billy says we should try it, and he said, okay. And that was all that was needed. And then I just watched his little face do a little... as we worked our way through a 63% 3-year-old Chinese whiskey that had been in tequila.
Wow.
I really enjoyed playing with that. Would I rush out and buy a bottle of it? Probably not, because my house is full of whiskey. But as an interesting thing to challenge a whiskey drinker, I think something like that's fun.
Fun.
Because it's very unlikely you will have had a 3-year-old Chinese whiskey that's been in tequila casks.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I might scare you off. You may never come back and ask me for a new perspective in whiskey. But I really had to, go to the extremes. Started off really gently, and then you've come to me as an experienced whiskey person. Have either of you had this whiskey? I very much don't think so. So I'd be giving you something to try that at the very least you'd not had. And it wasn't, I won't say it wasn't dreadful. It was just very unusual. And so to me, that's interesting. And the kind of thing that I like to share with people.
I like that.
Very nice.
What about you two?
Very nice. I would say for question number 1, pulling from the personal collection to engage somebody who's into it. I also say I'm really glad Tom went in this line with his question. Last week at the 7 Grand Whiskey Society, I had 2 people brand spanking new to whiskey in the room, and it was so exciting to have them there and to start talking about an initial journey for them. So From my own experience here, I pull out, and Josh and I have covered this on a previous episode, but I think the Glenmurray obviously has that distillery. You're throwing around Arran and Ardnamurchan. Glenmurray absolutely fits that bill for me. I think the 15-year-old Glenmurray, I think it presents that side of the distillery that we want to show, which is bright and fruity. I think it's at a strength that I think is engaging. And then I think it has the potential to open up the Glenmurray distillery as a location of discovery. You can explore other cask styles, you can explore other ages, you can explore other strengths, all through the lens of the Glenmurray distillery. And I think it presents so many jumping off points if you were beginning your journey with a single distillery. I would also, like you say, Jess, I would not want to steer away from the peat too long. And I'm forever reaching for and sharing Kilchoman Macquarie Bay with people. I really want them to see that predominantly bourbon cask maturation there. I think the smoke is lovely. I think it has a certain sophisticated quality with the onion ball on the still neck. So I think, again, then you can talk distillation, you can talk reflux. There's other elements of production you can talk about there. So those would be my two for the intro. Glenmurray 15 and Kilchoman Macquarie Bay. And then, again, another one I have actually pulled out for multiple people from the collection here is, and this is in great honour of our friend Ollie, Islay Violets. When you can pull out a 30-plus-year-old Islay whiskey that is a particularly floral style from that island distillery in the centre of the island, and you can have it finished in cognac just to add on to what's happening there. I love the fact that you can go Glenmurray, look at this, explore this, Kilchoman, you can set your watch by this, look how interesting this smoke is, to, hey, this is also a whiskey, and folk go, what is happening in my glass? Holy moly. And I think if you've seen it all, tried it all, I think there's other room for discovery there. And that's one that I'm proud to have a few bottles of. So there you go, running the gamut there. Not quite a 3-year-old Chinese whiskey and tequila, perhaps the other end of the spectrum. So, Joshua.
I like that. I would, excuse me, the first thing I would do is I would take a similar approach to what I did with Haida, which is, I think I'd like to set up a few and put a few in front of that person, right? This is question number 1, right? Someone who's never had whiskey before, and just get an understanding of what they are interested in tasting. I mean, that's how I got into it, which, the guy had said, do you like sweet, spicy, smoky, and so on? And he had 5 or 6 whiskeys in front of him. So, right, so I would choose, I'll bring it down to 3. But I would, say sweet, spicy, smoky, right? So I think for sweet, I might choose probably an Arran. I think the Arran 10 is just a solid choice. It's very approachable. It's sweet apples. It's good mouthfeel to it. For the spicier style of whiskey, well, let me come back to that one. For the smoky style whiskey, I like yours. I'm going to steal yours, Jason. It would either be Macquarie Bay, which I think is a really nice introduction to peat because there's so much sweet that offsets it. I think Lagavulin 16 is more classic, but there's something so lovely and sweet about that Macquarie Bay, so I think I would probably follow suit on there. And then something that may have a bit more of a spicy element, I may throw in like a rye whiskey, right? See if they like something American in there. Like it may not be Scotch whiskey that they want. They may want a dive into something else, and they may break my heart and go with something non-Scotch whiskey, and that's perfectly fine. But so long as they get into the category, and eventually they'll find their way to Scotch whiskey. So
I'm curious, do you recall what you did put in front of Haida?
Oh, yeah.
Because the fact she's on this journey is blowing my mind. So where did this begin with her?
So the very, very first thing that I poured for her. So the very, very first thing that I poured for her was on New Year's Eve. And I poured an M&H pomegranate, Apex pomegranate,
Nice.
right?
Lovely.
Which I love, but it was like 60 blah blah plus %. And she was like, this is good, but ooh, it's a lot. And then I poured Compass Box Magic Cask, which was primarily imperial with a bit of something else and 46% alcohol. And then the next go around, and then I was pouring our LDI light whiskey, the 13-year-old.
Fantastic. Yep.
And I was sipping it, and she said, she reached out her hand and she took a sip and then put it down, and then she grabbed it again and took another sip. And I said, do you want your own glass? And she just sort of shrugged her shoulders a little bit and made a cute little face. And so I poured her a glass of that. And then this, this third time where I put, it was the Tamdu 10. Oh, then it was a Kentucky Owl 11-year-old, the original release, rye whiskey release that they put out. And then the Signatory Imperial, right? And it just seems that she likes that lighter, fruitier style of whiskey, which, it's a nice entryway.
Do you think the spiced gumdrops of the 13-year-old light whiskey had her asking you about baking spices when you were kind of like, I don't know if that's going to resonate in the way you maybe think it would from before?
Potentially, I can't be certain.
First time for everything.
First time for everything. What? Wait. Whoa. Hey. Anyway, so there you go. So it would be Aaron 10 for your sweet. It would be some sort of a rye whiskey, maybe even just like an Old Forester rye, just a nice entry rye,
delicious.
right? And then Macker Bay, and then just let them nose it. See which way they want to go, right? And then to answer question number 2. I would go outside of the whiskey category, and I would put a mezcal in front of them.
Oh gosh.
Right? Yeah. You've tried all the whiskeys? Great. Let's see what mezcal does. Let's show you a completely different side of flavor and what, like it's there's so much flavor to explore there, and so much to talk about, and so much history, and you can get lost. So that's what I would do.
We need to get another SCN mezcal. It's the number one question I get when I'm out and about.
I love that that's definitely not your number one question, but I'm very happy to make it your number one question, especially if it means we have to go on an educational and historical trip for research purposes only to Mexico.
Yeah,
I tell you,
baby.
I see that old Charlie Prince of Dramas, and I one day I'm going to go with him, but I genuinely fear for my life that either I am going to be left somewhere because I won't be able to keep up with the mezcal consumption, or that I'm going to fall in love with it so hard that I refuse to come home.
Why not both?
Yep.
I've got the fear, but I really like Mexico is super high on my list of places I want to go this year, and I have some lovely friends who I know will send me in the right direction for places. I really, really want to go and drink mezcal.
Yeah.
And
Oaxaca is a very, very special place. Very special.
I think we should have an SCN team retreat there.
This is it. It's coming
Done.
together.
In the books. Did you hear that,
It's
Steve?
on the podcast, so it's real now. Yeah, Steve. Put it in the budget. Item
right.
number 1 on the next meeting. Absolutely not. No. Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on because we have a few more to get to.
Yeah,
and we've got
let
about
me take the Tim Mushaw question. I saw
there you
him
go.
just a couple of months ago and got to spend time with him and the gang, and they're all terrific fellas.
Yeah,
So,
beauty. Go ahead.
from Tim Mushaw, next on the list here. Hi, J folks. This is brilliant. All new salutations for the mailbag episode. He follows the same tack here. I have a question or more for you. It's been just over 2 years since the company was purchased by Artisanal Spirits. What has changed for you and for the company since then? Are there aspects of owning SCN that you miss, or has it been everything you've ever dreamed of and more? Cheers, Tim. There you go. I'm going to have Joshua go first on this one.
Let me see. What has changed? Well, I mean, the biggest thing for me personally is that I've gone from 2 jobs to having 1 job, which is a nice change for me personally. I had no room in my brain for anything, and now I have a bit of room in my brain, and it's not, there's not a lot there. So just to have that extra room, that's I found a corner. So that's been nice. What has changed for the company? You know, someone had asked this at a tasting recently, and oh no, yeah, this was at the Drammers Zoom that we did recently.
Indeed.
And this was just, the overall selection process. And what's really nice is we're not necessarily in the position anymore where we've got to hunt down brokers for casks. And that was always something I dreaded, which was fighting for casks and arguing about pricing. And it's nice to be in a position where we have a warehouse full of, 18,000-ish casks that we can draw from, while at the same time, if we want to work with this distillery or that distillery, we've got the freedom to do that as well. Like, we continue to be able to write our own story, which is wonderful. So to not have to fight that fight anymore, and just move on like a normal IB that has stock, like not like a normal IB, but like an established IB, right? That has stock, I should say, is quite nice. An aspect of owning SCN that I miss. I don't know. I think I don't know if there's an aspect of owning that I necessarily miss. I think there's an aspect of growing SCN that I miss. There's a building of it when it was ours that had a certain feel to it, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure I'm following. Yeah, can you add a bit more?
Yeah, I don't even know if I can put leaves on those branches for you, Jason.
Heard.
But when it's, when we were 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, and we're thinking about our 5-year plan, our 10-year plan, and trying to hit those goals as 2 guys starting a company, and then bringing Jess on in 2019 and hitting these goals, and it was our thing that we were building. It's now we've hit a certain milestone where the company isn't ours. We don't own it outright, but we still run the company, we run the brand, but it's from a different perspective. We don't have the goal from that perspective, from that 5-year, 10-year plan. Like, it is the same, but it's not ours. Like, I don't know how to really put the importance on that to really flesh that out for you. It just has a slightly different feel to it. It doesn't make it any better or any worse. It's a slightly different feel to it. That's all.
Okay. Jess?
Oh dear. Well, Joshua's given you a very heartfelt answer, and I was just going to give you a bunch of superficial nonsense, so I'm just going to plow on with that. So the question was, what has changed for you in the company since then? Well, for a start, I have multiple offices, one of which now has a lovely view of Edinburgh Castle. I didn't have that before. I still maintain my office that has a lovely view of Glasgow Central Station, which is sometimes a lot spicier than you would like it to be for the centre of Glasgow. I guess the one thing that is definitely different for me, although we did have a warehouse and I miss our lovely old warehouse team, who I still get to bump into at various whiskey events.
Nice.
Indeed.
Nice boys, nice girls. That was a bit trumpy. Very nice team that I miss working with. Shut up, Jess. It's really funny to me to having our warehouse now in Uddingston that I can just sort of swan about in high vis, and it's ours. Does that make sense?
It's nice.
I'm not a guest in the warehouse. I'm part of the same team. And that's really weird because when I took this job, I accepted that working with you two meant that occasionally you would turn up and be physically in my face. But most of the time the work that we do is done through technology, through screens like this, FaceTime or Zoom or Teams or whatever. And sometimes when the internet's being really shit, just voice notes to each other. And so to me, it's still a bit of a novelty to have these places that I am not a guest of. They are my team. The warehouse team are my team, are our team. Head office in Edinburgh is people who are on the same side as us. So I guess I kind of understand what Josh is saying, that it was the three of us versus the world, and now we're part of a bigger body of humans.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys don't feel that benefit in quite the same way that I do, because I have gained a physical team, whereas you haven't in quite the same way. Instead of it just being me on my own in my lovely office that I share with some very nice people, but they don't work for the company and they don't necessarily even work in this industry. So while it's really nice to have human bodies, to not just be talking into the wall, now that we're part of ASC, I have much more of that. So I guess that's my slightly more serious answer to having multiple places I can sit with a laptop that's not a coffee shop. The cask thing definitely is fun, to have loads of cask samples and to try things on a much bigger scale than we were achieving, just the three of us. To me, that's fun. It's like an evolution. It's not a bad change. It's a step in the next direction. And so, yeah, I hope that kind of answers a bit of what Tim's asking of me. Obviously, you two are the co-founders, so there's no hard owning on my part. And I think to new drinkers, especially as we open up markets, the ownership bit for me is less of a question, because I'm just a new face bringing fun new drams to try with people. So that hasn't changed post or after ASC. We're still bringing nice things to people to drink and hopefully share, and bring these people into the fold and drinking more of our picks. That's not any different to
That's a good
ownership.
question. I like Tim sending this in. It's nice to get a little philosophical around these parts. This is nice.
I feel like this was a question for you, Jason. This is a philosophical question, and I, as the emotionally constipated Brit, I'm fully unable to answer serious questions. But I feel like you're going to really drill down into this philosophy of
I don't know
acquisition.
if that's true either. I don't know if that's true. It changed for me stability. I definitely like that sense of it. And I think on the back of the stability, for me, is support for the company. And so that is definitely what you're alluding to in person. I definitely feel remotely from the East Coast of the United States. Is that we do have a team that's focused on the labeling and the bottling and the shipping and all of that. And so that has become hugely important. I also think that, the three of us being together in Scotland in the month of March and thinking about being at HQ and who are we going to see and what conversations are we going to have. The reason I was asking Joshua, the follow-up question there is because for me, the future planning and the future proofing of Single Cask Nation has become even stronger since acquisition. And so the fact that the three of us can ask that question of what do we want the next 5 years for SCN to look like, or the next 10, or the next 20, is very real and is incredibly pertinent. And so to have the support to enact that is as exciting as SCN has been since its original founding in 2011. So I feel very empowered by that. And then are there aspects of owning that you miss? I've sat, I've thought, I've asked myself, and no, there is not. There isn't, and I don't want to just, toe the party line as much as there's a party line in existence. But I think of how difficult it was, and how we were at the vagaries of the marketplace and the trying to fill, and what the pandemic did to us, and I think of all of that, and I would swap that for stability every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Yeah.
And so no, we asked ourselves the serious questions about if this was to go wrong, what would going wrong look like, and none of those things are in play. So.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We have never been in a better position for Single Cask Nation, and the future has not looked any brighter than it has. That wasn't my point earlier on. It just had a different feel as two guys starting a company. That the feel is just different. That's all. Do I miss it? I don't know if I miss it. It's just the feel was different. Now it's amazing that we have this support of the company, like you said, behind us, and the ability to do things that we'd never have had before. The things that we have always wanted to do, and now we can do them. The three of us, it's just fantastic. So.
Cool.
There you go. Yeah, cool. Okay. So, Ari Cohen, oh, what a lovely guy. He used AI to help ask these questions. So here we go. And he even says it. This is a question that AI has created for me to ask. All right, guys, let's settle a national crisis. If the three of you were stranded on a desert island with only one bottle of a legendary 30-year-old sherry bomb, but no Glencairns and no spring water, Joshua, which historical figure would you pretend to be while drinking it out of a coconut shell? Jason, how many drops of murky pond water are you adding before Joshua physically tackles you? And Jess, given that you're the only one actually building a raft, which one of them are you leaving behind first to save on weight? Oh my God.
I worry about the future of AI.
Yeah.
It's got some beautiful imagery, though.
It does have some beautiful imagery. Yeah. What historical figure would I want to be? Well, I don't know. I think I would want to be a fictional historical figure of Robinson Crusoe. Can I
don't know
be
if I'm
that?
allowing you that answer. No. I think it's a genuine historical figure. I will not permit... Because obviously this is a very realistic scenario. So I feel like you shouldn't be allowed a fictional historical...
Okay. Well, then I would then have to choose... Man, we're recording live, aren't we? So I've got to keep on talking. I can't actually think about my answer. I would have to choose George Washington.
Okay.
Because
Well, because he liked whiskey. He was a distiller. And I can't think of anything else. This is the weirdest. I wish I had read this question to have time to think about my answer prior to hitting record. On
wait,
this.
we
No,
hand curated
the
this
listeners-
list. Did you?
Yeah,
Where did you
the
hand curate
listeners,
the list?
the
Oh,
viewers,
I just copy
Jason,
and pasted, man. That's my hand curation.
I'm really enjoying watching you think in real time, and of
Yeah.
all of the historical figures in all of time,
Yeah.
George
I was waiting on him
Washington's your man.
surreptitiously typing under the camera, like asking AI, which historical figure should I be, while
And then it'll
drinking a
sketch you as
30-year-old
well.
cherry bomb from a coconut shell.
I would be the historical figure that bottled a Glendronach between 2010 and 2025. That's who I
Sound
would be.
logic.
I love the fact that mailbag episodes always go off the rails. We always end up in a place where we just make no sense around them.
No, I think this is the best we've had yet. We've had a nice, heartfelt, sincere question about company development, and suddenly Joshua's had to transform himself into George Washington.
Well, you know what though? I mean, he's on a desert island. You never know what you're going to find. He fought in wars so he could protect himself. I could help protect you guys, right? If you needed that. I was a warrior.
You think so? You don't think he just organized troops? He was a strategist more than he was a warrior.
I've seen paintings where he had swords.
I
I almost
think
said
those
pictures. I almost said I've seen pictures of him. But no,
I've seen his Instagram
I've seen the
posts.
painting.
I think those paintings are as accurate as Nate Bargatze's impression of him on Saturday Night Live. Those sketches are amazing, and they are available on YouTube for global listeners. Those sketches are magnificent.
They're
I watch them all
fantastic.
the time. I watch them so much, my boys are like, "Not this again." I'm like, "It's just so good, so good." I like that. My question is about how many drops before Joshua tackles me. Like, when am I reaching for drops of murky pond water to put into this 30-year-old sherry bomb in a coconut shell?
I mean, this seems like more a question for me than it is for you. Like, I mean, you don't even get to put one drop of murky water in there before I tackle you. This is 30-year-old
Right.
sherried whiskey.
Right.
And you're putting
We're-
it into my coconut, and I am a warrior. I'm George Washington. I've fought in wars. I've
Can you
had
imagine that,
swords.
Jason?
You're a
You've
man
been
with a
tackled
sword. Let's be
by
clear.
George
man with a
Washington,
sword.
a man with a sword.
It's becoming more and more like a drunk history episode.
I think this is how they created that TV show Lost. This is basically the setup, the premise of it. We just need to add some polar bears, and then it just totally loses its mind. And that's how
Yeah,
they started this before we invented AI.
Yeah, I'm definitely saying, dear AI, we are not adding murky pond water to our 30-year-old sherry bomb in a coconut. And instead we're going to get to the most controversial question of the three, which is, who is Jess ditching? This to me is the Titanic question.
I am slightly afraid of being on a life raft with George Washington, give or take his swords. So
Right.
I could
maybe I just have
protect
to abandon you both. But I would promise I would come back.
See, that's so Leonardo DiCaprio is the actor who's not able to get onto the wood detritus at the end of Titanic. Who's the actress?
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
I can't believe
There
I
was
know
so much
a
room.
film reference.
Kate Winslet.
And I knew the Simpsons reference earlier. I just need you to know. I can't believe you've forgotten Kate Winslet. That's diabolical on your
So
part.
maybe Jess is the Kate Winslet in this scenario.
Nah, because she lets go
And-
of him. There's definitely room for two of them on that door. She shoves
There
him
was
off.
so much room on there. There was so much room.
I feel
then
like
the-
Josh and I are watching this raft with Jess on it, like disappearing towards the horizon.
She was
she's
so
coming
devious,
back
and she
for
had that
one of
necklace
us,
on
right?
the whole time. They'd wasted all that money on a deep sea exploration, only for her to turn up at 80-something years old and fling
been
it back
84
into the
years.
sea.
It's been 84 years.
I have worn that necklace. My parents
He's
took
not.
me to. There was some exhibition. We were on holiday when I was a child, and they had a Titanic feature. And you could have your picture taken wearing the heart of the ocean.
Ooh, there you go.
My mother will have that picture scrolled away somewhere, so please do not ask her to look it out and to send you it, because it'll be very, very embarrassing. But it definitely exists. Because she
Dear Mama
insisted.
Lomas.
She insisted I had it done, and I didn't want to, but she was willing. I think if I was going to be a historical figure, I think I would be Agatha Christie. I'm just saying.
To solve the murder of the two people who are not on the
Yeah,
raft.
but she was a phenomenal chemist. I could write a
That's why
novel
we
while
didn't
I'm on
show
the
up.
raft.
Who murdered the two people? Was it the third person? Who
I'd
knows?
write
It was
my
Agatha
novel
Christie.
on the raft as I float away. She was an incredible. I'm sure she was like a chemist or something. She's a very clever woman who also famously just disappeared for a while to get away from her shitty husband, and then reappeared with a book under her arm of a novel she'd written. So, proper legend. I feel like she'd have all the skills for being on an island. She wouldn't be encouraging you to put murky water into your lovely, unspecified, legendary 30-year-old sherry bomb. So I think she'd just be the woman for the job.
All right, let's leave the AI question behind. I see
Okay.
I see a question, and then I see the two of you have kind of cheekily added to our list while we've been talking over here. So
Yeah, but we're not getting to mine because I will get us cancelled. There'll be
yeah,
no
I got a
season
little
10.
a little chuckle at that
Yeah.
bottom note there, Jess.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should play that game sometime, because that's a great
Flo-
game to be playing.
Flo will tell you, we've been playing this for about 2.5 weeks non-stop at this point, and I've been causing trouble everywhere I've gone with it. It's been glorious.
It's great. It's
Come and
great.
find me in March. We can play it offline.
Oh,
Well,
can't
we
wait.
do seem to have a final name on a question that
We
seems
do.
pertinent for ROW.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Jess. Yeah.
So there's a question that I think I had also seen come in on Facebook somewhere from Fred van der Ven, who I assume, as his question is about the Netherlands, is a kind Dutch correspondent, asking if shipment to the Netherlands is possible. At the moment, we don't have an importer in the Netherlands. I am not ruling it out, but I do happen to know that a bunch of the retailers we work with in the UK, if you're really keen, will send those shipments to you. So places like the Whiskey Exchange, the Whiskey World, and the Whiskey Shop should be able to ship to you in the Netherlands. And then I suspect if you have any friends within the German market, like where I've just been in Nuremberg, there will probably be some stores in Germany who might be able to get liquid to you. I just don't necessarily have the names of those stores to hand. So I'm not saying never as a never to the Netherlands. That's actually very hard to say. But it's not right now, Fred, so I'm sorry. But if you want to get in touch with us through our usuals, that these we will remind you of at the end, and and if you're looking for something specific, and I will see what I can do and help you in the meantime. So that's my
Nice.
bit of housekeeping for the Netherlands.
Very nice.
And just in case, and this is for anybody who lives outside of the U.S., if you're interested in our U.S. online exclusives, we cannot ship any of those bottlings outside of the U.S. or our partner who ships on our behalf cannot do that. So the only way you can get any of those, if you happen to live outside of the U.S., is if you happen to have a friend or a relative and you figure out your stuff on the sly. That's up to you, but we cannot do that. So if your question had to do with those bottlings, unfortunately, we cannot help you there. So
Also good.
This is
also-
actually Josh's way of reminding me that I have no access to these online exclusive bottlings and to kindly stop giving out his address to strangers I meet at whiskey shows. So, noted, I heard you, I'm still annoyed.
Although only one of us could visit the bottling line on day of production. So.
Well, I happen to know that you two have prevented the bottling hall from telling me specific details as to what day that we are planning on bottling a 30-year-old Glenmurray to stop me turning up and reversing into the loading bay.
Yes, some of it has to come to America, Jess. Some of it.
Apparently. Like my constant reminder that this company is to be a business as opposed to my own personal foundation for sourcing and bottling whiskey. It's
You've already heard we
continually
have
disappointing.
bought bottles of the Glenmurray 30, so you know we are supporting the business of single cask nation.
yeah, exactly.
Well done, us. But yeah, get in touch with us and we will see what we can do. I can't promise you I can fix global bottlings, but I will try my very hardest to make sure bottles reach you if you are looking for them.
Very nice.
There you go. So the final thing is actually a question that I am putting to the three of us. And I had this idea the other day, and I thought, what would be our collective 10 commandments of whiskey? And I've come up with 3. And I figured if the 3 of us can come up with 3, and then maybe toss in the 10th one for good measure, then we could have our 10 commandments. So I'm going to throw out my 3, and then give you both time to think. And then if any listeners happen to have their own personal commandments of whiskey, we'd love to hear from you. info@singlecasknation.com. And if you wanted to reach out to Jess about those special bottles, right? Do you want to throw out your email? No?
My special bottles, some of those are not available publicly. You can find me at jess@singlecasknation.com. But if you also sent it to the info account, Josh is very good at sending them to me anyway.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everything. Yeah, okay. So, commandment number 1, thou shalt not chill filter your whiskey. I think that's a good commandment. Don't do it. I don't mind a little color. Coloring is okay, a little bit. I think chill filtration is more of a deadly sin. I just do.
Okay.
All right. Ooh, Jason is. Oof, I've upset Jason this day. he may
Jason's
change
a quick
it.
lie
Okay.
down.
Okay. All right. Okay. Commandment
Well,
number
we've got
2.
our schism. We're one commandment in, and we've got our religious schism. So this is perfect.
Commandment number 2. Thou shall be open to trying new things.
Oh, this is starting to sound more like a cult.
This is becoming the document you have to sign to get into the nation.
Very good, yeah.
And commandment
That's
number
why Colin
3.
has upset me so much.
Commandment number 3. Thou shall always open and share bottles.
See, that's good. That I like. That one resonates. Well, let's get on with business and go number 4. Thou shalt not add artificial color. let's get that out in the open. Stat.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Is that our TTB language? Are we talking artificial or natural colour? I am so confused.
Yeah. Thou shalt
colouring.
not add any natural color to whiskey. I've got one that's I think very close. Number 5. Thou shall not gatekeep. I think that's hugely important. Meet people where they are. Listen to people. Ask them questions about what they want to know or taste or experience. I think that's absolutely vital. I love your number 3 is my favorite. I think that thou shall open and share is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if I can quickly come up with number 6 for me, so I will give the floor to Jess while I think a little longer.
That's worrying because your don't gatekeep is what I was encompassed as don't
Fantastic.
be a dick. But yeah, sure. Don't gatekeep seems like a nice moral. So, what about, okay, so I guess maybe it's sort of related, but these 10 commandments, some of them are. Not that I've studied them heavily extensively recently. How about don't assume you know more than everybody else? I feel like this is something I bitch about quite a lot. A little bit of knowledge can make people extremely dangerous.
Yes. So I like that. I like
And there
that.
have been some incidences where I have run into people who... It's a very fine line between being enthusiastic about sharing your passion and then being a mansplaining old dick. So...
Yep.
that's a technical term, Jason. Don't know why you're laughing at that. It's scientifically acknowledged.
Mansplaining old dick is the name of today's episode.
How far we've fallen from the old jubilant Jays. So I guess that's kind of about gatekeeping, but not inflicting yourself on people. You've no idea who you're talking to. So they may be total newbies and are going to be very put off by what you're saying, or have experience and are equally irritated by what you're saying. I'm always very aware of it. You've already got the sharing, which I quite liked sharing. I like your enforcing people to try new things. That's fun. Oh. I think the idea about can we have being open to new whiskies?
I
There's a
did
little
that.
bit
That
of-
was commandment number 2. Be open to trying new things.
That's true.
Yeah.
Then I've really only added one commandment to your list, and I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so we're,
10 is
we're up-
ambitious to come up with on the fly.
I love that we can boil 10 down to 1. Don't be a dick. Like,
Yeah.
which has been the guiding ethos of Single Cask Nation
Don't be
since
a dick.
2011.
Yeah, don't be
a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I told my mum when I joined the company.
Yeah, I think the trying new things, I think the open and sharing, I think listening to new drinkers, I think not adulterating. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I think this is worth writing these up and posting them and see what corners we've missed from the listenership and see what they can add in the comments, either over on the YouTube or... I would, just because I like the sound of it, I would not... Thou shalt not covet another whiskey drinker's whiskey social medias, right? That
Says
idea,
the man with no social media.
Well, because that's why I got off of it, right? Like, you could be leading an amazing whiskey life and look at somebody's social media and be like, but I'm not drinking that right now. I'm not at that gathering right now. Like, you can make yourself miserable with all the places you're not, and miss the fact that you're having a fantastic whiskey life. So that's why I got off of it. I did not like that feeling.
But I suppose that's fair enough. But you have put an absolute rain on my parade of excellent Instagram content of all the extremely unachievable things I put on the internet.
Can I throw one more in there?
One more and we're out of here. Yep.
Okay. Thou shalt not pay more than MSRP. Drives me nuts when, during the big bourbon craze, when people wanted to try the Blantons, the Pappies, the Elmer T. Lees, and like bottles that should be $99, $100, $129, and shops were charged $2,000 because people would pay $2,000. And whether the shop would do it or people would sell it on the secondary. And the only reason people were allowed to do that is because people would pay that. But it gets back to the opening and sharing. If people just paid MSRP and opened and shared and didn't hoard bottles, it just gets back to sharing with the community and being open to the community. I think it did more harm than good, paying more than MSRP and making it back to coveting people's social media, right? There's so many connective things there.
So maybe thou shalt not charge over MSRP, and thou shalt not flip house.
Ah.
Oh, I feel like we've entered into a trap. This was a trap.
This is why it's 1 and we're out of here.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. So we've got 5, 6. We've got 9 there. We've got 9.
There you go.
There's 9. All right. So we'll encourage the listeners to send in commandment number 10, info@singlecasknation.com.
And or add it in the comments under the YouTube video of this or on the Facebook page for One Nation Under Whisky.
Yeah, especially for Ollie. I think Ollie should put it in the YouTube comments.
I bet Ollie wants to
Ollie.
know how to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
True.
So that's it, guys. We have wrapped up season 9 and are about to enter season 10 of One Nation Under Whisky podcast. This is exciting. Really exciting. Congrats. Congrats to us. We did it. Okay. Oh, hey, I was about to do that. You did it for me. All right. So
Now the transition has passed. Let's do it.
for those that are watching this video, you'll see our little banner below. It says subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've not done so already, please do that. If you're listening to this, please check out the videos. They're fun. You get to see Jess's face as we say the wrong things. You get to see...
They get to admire my incredible new living room, complete with grand piano.
You do tickle the ivories.
Yep. Hey now.
Paging HR.
But yes, please do subscribe. Please tell everybody. And why not give us a nice review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, because you can find us there. You can find us on all the audio podcast platforms. And I guess until next week when we launch Season 10, Episode 1.
To the future.
The future, the future. The future's not uncovered with what'll be discovered. Yeah!
To the future.
To the future.
Cheers, everybody. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
Bye.